It is off the bench where we are talking sleepers and streamers for week 8. These are not the same boring sleepers that you've heard everyone talk about all week. Cedric Tillman. We like to take it a little bit deeper on this show. These are for the big boy leagues. So if you're in one of those baby leagues, this show's probably not for you.
Yeah, this is deep cuts. Deep
Right.
cuts right here.
Exactly. Sam, how you doing tonight? You ready to talk some week 8 sleepers and streamers?
Man, if I was any better, there'd be 2 of me. I'm so ready. I'm so ready.
All right. So you got who's your first sleeper?
Bryce Young. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
It's
We're
not.
about to
If you
lose our
start,
whole audience.
I'm sorry, we're not going that deep on the cuts here, guys. I'm gonna kick it off. Let's see. I didn't really put these guys in order or anything, but I got 3 of them. I'm assuming you do too.
Mm-hmm.
I'll start out with one that I want to just get out of the way because I hate them. And that is David Njoku for the Browns. I think we're at that moment. You know, he just made the joke about Cedric Tillman, but we're at that moment where we don't really know who in the Browns is going to step up. But somebody's going to, because Jameis Winston loves to throw the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So people are going to get opportunities. And Jameis Winston in the past has been notorious sometimes for playing favorites. So when he finds one guy that he likes the best, he starts to lock on to him. Deshaun Watson was notorious for not throwing to tight ends. So that's why for a lot of people that drafted Njoku pretty high this year as far as tight ends go, they've been, predominantly disappointed by the output because Watson just doesn't look for him. But we saw what he did, when Flacco was in last year. Not only did he get a lot more opportunities, but they were further down the field. I mean, they were like wide out type opportunities, not just 7 yards over the middle and whatnot like that. So this week I've got Njoku ranked currently. I mean, before I kind of dove into this, I had him ranked around tight end 19. He's only got 165 yards this year on 20 catches, 29 targets, only 1 touchdown, which has really bogged down a lot of tight ends this season. But since Amari Cooper left, and I'm borrowing these stats from Derek Brown, since Amari Cooper left, he's got a 31.3% target share on first read in Cleveland, and Baltimore is really bad against the tight ends. Mm-hmm. They're allowing the most yards versus the tight end position and the 7th most fantasy points. So they're up there with the Chiefs, teams that you think of as being really good, but are, everybody's got a chink in the armor, and Baltimore is certainly in the passing game, especially this week. They've got Wiggins is out, Humphrey is doubtful. I'm gonna pick and choose here, and I'm gonna say Njoku is the one that I think is the most dependable here, and that James is going to look to first for opportunities.
Yeah, I think pretty much everybody across fantasy football is thanking the football gods that we are finally getting some Jameis Winston in this offense because we needed it so bad.
Right.
Deshaun Watson was awful. We know Jameis, he'll turn it over like crazy, but he's going to push the ball down the field. He's going to fuel our guys for fantasy football, and I think David Njoku is going to be the biggest one that he does fuel in that offense. And you talked about the Ravens defense. I mean, one, they're bad, but also their offense is so good. They're scoring so many points that creates this game environment where these opposing teams are playing from behind constantly. And which of course that means they're going to throw the ball. So we get comeback mode Jameis Winston. Give me that all day long. Give me all of his pass catchers. I love it.
Yeah, You remember comeback mode Jameis Winston in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
I mean, where, he'd throw 4 picks in a game, but he'd also throw
30 for 30.
Listen, if you're gonna throw 4 picks, but it leads to 4 touchdowns too, then if you're someone like the Browns, and right now you're pretty much out of it, I can't think of a better thing than to see what you've got from those other skill positions.
I mean, he's the reason why Bruce Arians has no hair, because he just
Yes.
pulling it out this whole time while Jameis is just throwing pick after pick after pick after pick. But got a lot of good stuff out of him as well.
Yeah, and the reason that Tampa Bay has no crab legs left.
we're still on the crab legs thing. Forgive him. He was a college kid. He's a college kid. Well, we got to shout out Angie in the chat. She was this close to leaving when you mentioned Bryce Young. We're very thankful that she stayed, and the Dynasty Dogs are here as well.
Angie, I would have killed you if you left after the Bryce Young mention. Come on, I'm joking.
So I'm going to give you my first sleeper of the week.
Please do.
This one is not quite as deep as I usually like to go. So I just want to warn you that my other 2 sleepers for tonight have a combined rostership on Yahoo of 5%. This one, however, is rostered in 65% of leagues. But I would say the percentage of those leagues where he's being started is probably very, very low. And this show is called Off the Bench. It's not called Off the Waiver Wire. So you can find Rome Odunze off of your bench.
Yeah.
We've been waiting. We've been waiting and 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 waiting for something to happen with Rome Odunze.
Have we been waiting?
A little bit. This could finally be the time. I mean, obviously we know he's the 9th overall pick. He flashed some chemistry with Caleb Williams. I mean, these guys were working out together before the NFL draft, before they were teammates together. They wanted to be on the same team. They wanted to play together. They hooked up for big plays in the preseason. They hooked up in big plays for training camp. And this matchup is about as good as it gets for the Bears. The Commanders, I mean, earlier in the season, they were one of the worst secondaries. They were definitely the one we could pick on for fantasy football. Things have been a little bit better lately, but going against the Browns and the Panthers in 2 of the last 3 games, that's probably going to do that for you. But still, the Commanders, they allow the 6th most fantasy points to wide receivers. They've already allowed 3 100-yard wide receiver games this season. And only the Ravens have allowed more passing touchdowns than the Commanders through the first 7 weeks. Now, the offense plus, Caleb Williams himself, they were kind of surging. They were coming on before the bye week. 530 passing yards from Caleb Williams over his last 2 games. That included 6 touchdowns. So he's coming on strong. He hasn't had a passer rating below 106 or a completion percentage below 69% since all the way back in week 3. And I think getting Rome Odunze, getting him going is like the natural next step for this offense. They finally got Caleb going. They finally got some other things going. They got DeAndre Swift going. Keenan Allen, a couple of touchdowns over the last couple of weeks. Now they're going to try to get Rome Odunze going. And we see it all the time. These rookies tend to get a little bit of a usage bump coming out of the bye weeks. And it's not like Rome Odunze even need to put him on the field more. He's been on the field. He's playing. He's running routes. He's been on the field for 87% of the snaps, which is top 20 among wide receivers. He's running 85% of the routes on Caleb Williams' dropbacks. So he's out there. They just need to start targeting him. That's really all they need. They don't need him to be on the field more. He's out there.
Yeah, I like what you say about rookies coming out of the bye.
You see it all
because
the time.
It's one of those things where teams, they get to see over the first portion of the season that the guy's up to speed, that he's adjusting to the speed of the NFL, right? And when you have the bye, then you have that much more time to really start looking at plays that feature those players,
right?
Instead of just having them have, kind of the limited play look where they're always going to be like the third look, you know what I mean? And only if he gets past the secondary do you throw this ball. So yeah, I like that pick.
Yeah, I mean, and over the bye week, they're doing self-scouting, and it takes some time for these coaches. They have a coaches. Coaches are funny. They have a hard time earning or building trust with players, especially rookies. So it takes a few weeks for the season to get going, for these rookies to start earning the trust of the coaching staff. I mean, Odunze, they know he's the future alpha of the offense. So why not now? Why not now?
Right.
And we've already seen it one time at least with the Odunze. We know we can do it. He had 112 yards in week 3 against the Colts. He's actually in that game. That is the highest receiving yardage total in a single game from any Bear this year. It's Rome Odunze. He's already done it. So we just need it to happen again. He's 6 in red zone targets. He's got 5 he's got 6 in the last 5 games. He's gonna happen. All he needs is that touchdown. All he needs is that big play. He can be worth starting in your lineup. This could be the week. If it's ever going to happen, this is the week.
Yep, I agree. I'll tell you what, I'll stay with the Bears. And I'll talk about a guy that you and I spoke about last night. Do I think Roschon Johnson is going to take the starting job this week? No. Do I think he's eventually going to take the starting job? I do. Wholeheartedly. I'm so in on that. I planted a flag on that a long time ago.
Yeah.
But Swift kind of fell into a rhythm there where he got like 4 or 5 bad rush defenses in a row. So he was able to maintain his job, even though he was really inefficient prior to that. But I like their chances of getting out to a big lead here with Washington, especially if Daniels doesn't play, which is up in the air still right now. They're saying they're leaving that up to the doctor to decide whether he's going to further injure the ribs if he plays or not. But he says he wants to. Regardless, I think if the Bears get out to a big lead, then they're going to want to run clock in the second half. And I hesitate to call it garbage time, but I do call it extra run time. I mean, they're just going to run the ball a lot. And Swift can't be out there for every single play. Roschon is the stronger back. He's stronger by the goal line. He's already snatched up a couple goal line carries that left Swift owners a little peeved about, like when he had 2 against Carolina, which incidentally was his best fantasy game. I know he hasn't done a whole lot this year, but he's averaging like just over 10 points a game in PPR leagues over the last, I think, 4 outings. With the exception of last week, he only had 5 carries for 8 yards. But I mean, if he was reasonably efficient, he would have hit that 10-point mark again. So I said I was digging deep. I'm digging deep on this. It's like all the running backs disappeared. We had so many options for a couple weeks because we didn't know who was starting where and when, and it's like people didn't believe that Madison sucked, and so there were all these different options, and now it seems like this week all of a sudden everybody's like, well, where did all the running backs go? Like, we don't know. We don't have anybody to start. So, would I start Roschon? No. Would I flex him? Sure. And I would expect him to score a touchdown and probably get 20 yards on the ground. And for a flex spot, I'll take it all day.
Yeah, I've always loved Roschon. I'm right there with you with him. But if you need a starter, you got injuries or whatever, like you said, in the flex spot, a lot of people were playing some of these wide receivers in their flex spot. So that spot's open now. If you need a desperation play, I think you could do a lot worse than Roschon Johnson. They get him involved in the passing game here and there. I mean, he was 3rd on the team last year, the entire team in receptions. They like him in that. They like him in the passing game. They trust him in pass protection. They like him at the goal line. All he needs is a few catches and a goal line plunge, and he's going to pay off for you as a flex play, a guy you can probably pick up off your waiver wire or find on your bench.
you've got other guys that are in nasty matchups or have just fallen out of favor too. Like this week, I'll play Roshan over Charbonnet, Devin Singletary against Pittsburgh, Kamani Vidal. If you're planning on rolling the dice on him, I would rather roll the dice on Roshan, Trey Tucker, Steve Slayton. The list goes on. A bunch of those, will they or won't they, where the floor is 0. I'd prefer to have the running back that might get goal line touches.
Yeah, no, I agree. Always that opportunity for Roshan Johnson. And, if I think it's really going to favor Roshan if Jaden Daniels is out, because the Bears will be able to get out to that lead.
Right.
And like you said, get those garbage time points. And maybe that means more opportunities for Roshan Johnson in the second half. Whereas for my sleeper, Rome Odunze, we really need Jaden Daniels to play so that the Bears are forced to pass and score
throwing the ball down the field
for 60 minutes. Yeah. So either way, I think it could be a win-win. Either you win or I win. All right. Let's move on. Let's move on to another running back. This one's probably about as deep, if not deeper, than Roshan Johnson. He's only rostered in 5% of Yahoo leagues, and that's Dearness Johnson. This is contingent, of course, on Travis Etienne being out. If Travis Etienne's going to play, scrap this one, delete it from the show, forget I ever said it. But I do like Dearness Johnson this week. In Etienne's absence, Dearness Johnson, he's operated in the pass catching role as well as being that change of pace guy to Tank Bigsby. And we can expect this game against the Packers to be a lot of negative game script for the Jaguars. They don't get to play the Patriots again this week. They're gonna play the Packers. They're gonna be trailing. It's probably gonna be a blowout pretty early in this game. Jordan Love is gonna pick apart that defense with ease. So the Jaguars are gonna have to be playing comeback mode. And that's going to mean check it down to Dearness Johnson. And because the Jaguars, they don't trust Tank Bigsby as a pass catcher or in pass protection. He's got two catches in his whole career. He's got, and then Dearness Johnson.
That's not good, ladies and gentlemen.
No, it's not good. He's been in the league for 2 years. He's got 2 catches. And Dearness Johnson, he has got 9 targets in just the past 3 games, with 7 catches over that span. Even last week, in a positive game script, in a game that they were leading most of the game, they were playing from ahead against the Patriots by multiple scores for most of that game in London. Dearness Johnson still gave you 10 PPR points. He had 9 carries to 38 yards. He also had 3 catches for 32. So if they're playing from behind, maybe he doesn't get those 9 carries. Maybe he gets 5 carries for 15, 20 yards, but he might double his receiving production. So I do like Dearness Johnson. If Travis Etienne is out, then I think we can comfortably play Dearness Johnson as kind of like an RB3, RB4, kind of a flex guy that can get you there in PPR leagues.
I could see it for sure, because they definitely don't trust Bigsby to catch the ball out of that backfield. And it's like the Jaguars have 2 games. It's either they're going to jump out to a huge lead because BTJ is having a great game, or they're going to be so far behind that, all they can do is just throw it to anybody that's open. And if Dearness is the one that's there, and obviously in that situation he will be over Bigsby, then why not roll him out there in a flex position?
Yep. And I mean, piggybacking off that a little bit, I think if anybody is super confident about playing Tank Bigsby this week, I think this might be the week you might want to bench him. Just might. Game script is not going to play in his favor. Game script is not going to be playing in the favor of Tank Bigsby this week. I'm not confident starting him at all. Anyway, who you got? Who you got as your next sleeper?
What was the percentage on Dearness?
That was 5%.
5%. I'll do you one better and say 4.
Ooh.
4% rostered. Troy Franklin, wide out for Denver. Bo Nix's old teammate at Oregon. He hasn't had many opportunities. Obviously, he was inactive to start the season. He's just now starting to come on, and by come on, I mean he's just starting to get looks. But last week, 5 catches on 6 targets. He had about 50 yards. The week before, got his first touchdown. Here's the stats that I like. 40% of his personal target share is 20-yard plus throws down the field. Here's Carolina. 8th most in the league allowing deep yards. 7th most in the league in passer rating and deep throws. 4th highest in the league in CPOE. I like Troy Franklin, and this is why I'm not saying he's going to have a monster game. I'm not saying he's going to catch 7, 8, 9 balls. I'm saying if you're looking for a guy and you're going to put him in flex, and once again, you're looking at guys that might have a 0 floor anyway.
Mm-hmm.
All it takes for Troy Franklin is one 40-yard bomb that finds the end zone. You know what I mean? Where he gets behind the defense like we saw him do against Carolina, and just runs off with it, and boom, 10 points. You're done for the day. You've filled your flex capacity, your flux capacitor. God, I'm such a cheese ball. But yeah, one play could do it. So, before it's, at the end of the first quarter, you're like, wow, Troy's not doing anything. Second quarter, wow, he's not doing anything. Third quarter, wow, he's not doing anything. And then just like randomly on the first play in the fourth quarter, he could get your 10 points of flex and be done.
Yep.
And you'd be like, okay, get him out of there.
Yep.
Plus, it's not like you can tell every week where Denver's going with the ball. I think Devon Vele is questionable this week. They've got a whole host of guys that are kind of could they or couldn't they. It's like Cortland Sutton only sees the ball when he's in the end zone, which is a good thing. But so he's going to get opportunities, especially with his familiarity with Bo Nix. I think Nix couldn't wait to get him on the field.
Yeah, and you mentioned Cortland Sutton. He was zero catches, 0 targets last week.
Yeah, that hurt me.
And Nix is definitely starting, one, to play better, but also to just look in the direction of Troy Franklin, which he played with in college. And Bo Nix is everybody. And you look at any sleepers article this week, any sleepers show like ours, Bo Nix, they're talking about Bo Nix as like the quarterback streamer of the week.
Right.
So lots of favorable talk for the Broncos, and somebody's going to benefit from that. Why not Troy Franklin? Why not?
Right. It's Carolina. This happens it's almost predictable now. The streamers are all going to be everybody who's playing against Carolina and everybody who's playing against Jacksonville. But I wrote a prop bet article the other day about how I think Javonte Williams is going to hit his prop pretty easily. Just destroy it probably pretty early. So, and Denver's defense is so good. Bryce Young doesn't stand a chance against that. It's going to be like watching a train wreck.
What a day for him to have to come back to.
I know. And, Deontay Johnson's like, yeah, my ribs hurt, but I can still play. My ribs hurt, but I can still play. My ribs hurt, but what?
Oh, Bryce
Young is starting? You know what? These ribs are really starting to hurt now.
Yeah. So put your money where your mouth is. Would you start Troy Franklin over DeAndre Hopkins? The frogs are asking.
No.
Okay. What about I think he's probably a good combo with Bo Nix and DFS.
What's that?
In DFS this week, do you think Bo Nix?
Oh, absolutely. I would think nice Troy. I haven't looked at the how much the salaries are.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I would guess that Troy Franklin is near the bottom, man.
Oh yeah. Nick, I can't imagine Nix is very high there either. I haven't played much DFS this year, so I'm not really in tune with the pricing this year, but
right.
I would say this is probably a nice little sneaky stack for you.
Yeah, I would think so.
All right, let's wrap it up with my third sleeper before we get into our bold predictions, which You don't want to miss our bold predictions at the end of this show, so make sure you stay tuned for that. I'm just gonna. The most intriguing thing is Sam gonna remember what his is because he comes up with it right before the show starts. So
every week I'm like, are we doing bold predictions? Hold on. Okay, I got one.
I got one. I'm waiting for the day where it just escapes your memory by the end of the show. Because if I didn't have a show sheet in front of me, I wouldn't even remember who my sleepers are. So So we got Elijah Moore. Elijah Moore is my next sleeper. We already talked about how awesome it is that Jameis Winston is finally going to be the starting quarterback in Cleveland. And on top of that, I think it's a little underreported this week, but Ken Dorsey is taking over the play calling in Cleveland. Not going to be Kevin Stefanski. And if you remember back to last year, Ken Dorsey was fired as the Bills offensive coordinator because Sean McDermott wanted him to stop throwing the ball so damn much. He wanted to run the ball more. So now we got a pass-happy quarterback with a pass-happy play caller. Things are going to be looking kind of nice for our fantasy assets in Cleveland. We got the nice matchup against the Ravens. They're a pass-funnel defense. Not only do they stop the run pretty well, which makes teams want to pass the ball against them, but we already talked about it, how their offense scores a lot of points, which forces other teams, the opposing team, to go into comeback mode, which means more passing.
And so two starting cornerbacks out.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Wiggins did not make the flight today. And then what is it? Humphrey out as well?
Humphrey is doubtful, but at this point, doubtful is usually out.
Right. And Higgins didn't even get on the plane. So he's out for sure. So they're likely the Ravens are going to get out to a big lead in this game, probably pretty early. And garbage time points, they count, guys. Garbage time points count, especially Jameis Winston garbage time points. You don't get any better than Jameis Winston garbage time points. It's like back in the day with Blake Bortles. They just racked up points in the fourth quarter. Same thing with Jameis Winston. The Ravens, they allow the second most fantasy points to wide receivers. And Elijah Moore, he's a 4.4 speed guy. He was a good prospect coming out college. He had that one productive rookie year with the Jets, so we know he can do it. He operates mostly from the slot. About 60% of his routes this year have come from the slot. He's number 5 in the NFL in slot snaps, and he's number 16 in total routes run. So he's on the field. He's on the field. That's step one. He's on the field. And the Ravens defense, they've allowed the 5th most fantasy points to slot-specific wide receivers. And then looking a little bit deeper at Elijah Moore, according to playerprofiler.com, Elijah Moore is number 4 in average yards of separation at the time of the targets. That's elite. He's number 4 in total route wins. He's number 7 in win rate against man coverage. He's number 6 in overall route win rate. He just needs a quarterback, and now he's got it. He's got it. Comeback mode Jameis is incredible. He out-targeted Jerry Jeudy in week 7. I think this week, my prediction, this is not my bold prediction, but I almost made it my bold prediction, but I decided to do something different. So I'm going to give you a bonus bold
prediction. So we get 2 bold predictions?
Bonus bold prediction. It's not going to be Cedric Tillman. It's not going to be Jerry Jeudy, but it's going to be Elijah Moore leading the Browns wide receivers in fantasy points in week 8. Tell me I'm wrong.
I support this take because when you let me know that yesterday, he kind of gave me a hint that Elijah Moore might be one of his, and basically so we don't say the same thing. And I was like, shit, I was gonna say Elijah Moore. So clearly I'm on board with this too. And look, here's the thing with Elijah Moore. And pretty much every quarterback he's been with, if they've had a good offensive line, which Watson, as bad as he was, it probably wouldn't have mattered, but he didn't this year. Every quarterback that Elijah's been with that's had a good offensive line and good protection has favored him over other wide receivers on the field. That means he's doing something right, even if it's not showing up in the numbers. So I agree. I think he could be the one to attract some attention from Winston too. So, and like we said, Winston loves to play favorites. So when he finds a guy, when he finds a guy, if if one guy comes out of it with twice the targets of everybody else tomorrow, add whoever that was on waivers.
Should we disclose to our audience what happened last week when I stole one of your guys and we both agreed on him,
Sure.
and then he went out and he caught one ball for 5 yards. So
Yeah.
just a warning. But these are deep sleepers for a reason. They're deep sleepers for a reason.
Yeah, it was Calcaterra from Philadelphia, the tight end. And I was like, oh man, I really wanted that one. And then
Should have let you have
during
it.
the game, I was like, woo, dodge that bullet.
You let me take the fall for that one. Oh.
Yeah, let's take the fall. But you know what? Maybe you're a week early though, because
I was just gonna say, I think you got to go right back to
Cincinnati
him.
is notorious for allowing yards to tight ends.
This
Notorious.
Yes.
So watch him blow up this week. I think Goddard's doubtful again. If I'm not.
No, he's out. Yeah, he's out.
This
is definitely a much more favorable game environment than against the Giants, where the Eagles only threw the ball 14 times. I think the Bengals offense is going a little more talented, a little bit more.
Yeah.
even
I think they're going to have to throw the ball more than 14 times against Cincinnati.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, what do you think? Are we going to do bold predictions?
Yes, I think we got to do one.
All right, I'll do bold predictions because I know you like to get all fancy with your closeouts. I'm giving away all the secrets.
So on that note, maybe before we get into our bold predictions, you want to grab like 2 or 3 questions from the chat?
Yeah, sure. If we got some.
All right, we got a few. Let me pull a couple up. Let's go back to the top here. What about James Cook, Jonathan Taylor, or Javonte Williams? Let's not do that one. That's a weird question. Looks like a trade question. Let's do. I think we got this one before it. Let's do this one from KJ. Start 3 and bench 1. David Montgomery, Jordan Mason, J.K. Dobbins, or Javonte Williams. We got to bench just one of these guys. Who's hitting the bench?
Ooh, don't
want to bench any of them.
Yeah, I don't want to bench any of them.
Javonte's got a great matchup against the Panthers. He's going to smash. J.K. Dobbins is a great matchup against the Saints. He's going to smash. Jordan Mason smashes every week. David Montgomery is a touchdown machine.
I guess I would bench Mason against or no. They're not playing the Chiefs. They played the Chiefs. Who's San Francisco?
Cowboys.
Oh, he's gonna smash. You know what, man? I hate to say it, but I guess I would bench Javonte. I said I wrote that article and I favor him to get his prop, but the prop in the article was him over like 65 yards. So, do I think he's going to score 3 touchdowns and run for 100? No, not really. Monty is like the safest bet in football is an anytime touchdown from Monty.
Yeah.
Mason and Dobbins. Yeah, I guess I got to say that I would sit Javonte in this situation.
Yeah, even though he's got probably the best matchup here, the best situation, I think he's probably the more likely, if one of these guys is going to give you 6 points, it's probably most likely going to be Javonte.
Yeah. Plus Sean Payton is always trying to screw us over.
Right. But don't get us wrong. We want to start all these guys if we can. So
yeah,
let's grab one more real quick before we get to our bold predictions. Because we're telling these guys to pick up players. So in some cases, they're wondering, okay, if I'm picking up players, who am I going to drop off my bench? So could we or should we drop for maybe one of our sleepers that we talked about earlier? Should we drop an ETN? Should we drop a Josh Downs, Alan Lazard, Alexander Madison, Rashad Bateman, Myers, or Wan'Dale Robinson?
I do not care about Jacoby Myers, Alexander Madison, and I barely care about Alan Lazard.
Yeah.
And Josh Downs, I want so desperately for that to be a thing, but I dropped him in all of my leagues because of
Flacco, baby.
Richardson.
Just give us Flacco. For me, it's Alan Lazard. I would drop Alan Lazard. He's not going to play this week, so nothing's going to happen with him this week. He's got Devontae Adams. He's got Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall in that offense. The offense isn't even playing that great. Aaron Rodgers isn't playing that great. I'd drop Alan Lazard, but any of the guys that you mentioned, I'd be cool with. All right, what's your bold prediction?
My bold prediction is, I mentioned earlier when we were talking about Baltimore and their propensity for giving up yards to tight ends. And I mentioned that one of the only teams that was worse against tight ends is Kansas City. And that's the only way you can hang in the game with them. My bold prediction is that not only will Brock Bowers finish as the tight end 1 again this week, but that he will finish with the points to be a top 12 wide receiver.
Ooh, okay. All right. That's all right. Going, that's kind of lukewarm, but I'll take it.
Lukewarm. All right, top 10 wide receiver. Come on.
He's smashing already. He is smashing already. He's what, the tight end 1, tight end 2
Raiders we're talking about.
I know. All right, let me give you maybe this one's a little more bold, but
okay, show me how it's done, Alex.
I don't know. Now I'm kind of questioning myself.
Come on, young ho.
Nobody in this audience has any idea what you're referencing.
No, they don't.
They just think we're nuts at this point.
That's right.
That's all right.
That's why this is a fun show to watch.
Exactly. Yeah. Remember, we were talking about Stephon Diggs being nuts last week, so maybe that's us this week. So my bold prediction: we got Tua Tagovailoa back. All right, hallelujah. We love that for Tyreek Hill. We love that for Jalen Waddle. But I think just as much as those guys, if not more, we love it for Devon Achane. Because we talked about on other shows, I think this was the personalized podcast we did last night. We talked about Devon Achane, how when the first couple of weeks when Tua Tagovailoa is playing, they're putting Devon Achane in all these creative situations. They're putting him in the slot. They're throwing it to him down the field. They're, motioning him all over the place. They're faking it to this guy and then dumping it to Achane. They got Achane all over the field. And they trust a guy like Tua Tagovailoa to do all those nifty moves, all the, ball fake here, ball fake there, looking over here and then going back over there. They're not going to do that with Skylar Thompson or Tyler Huntley. I mean, they don't trust that. And then on top of that, the offense isn't efficient. It's not explosive. Now with Tua back, we get all of that back. We get all of that back and then some. So Devon Achane finishes week 8 as the RB1 overall.